everyone. Welcome to Hospitality Today Live. I'm Deborah Gardner, your host, where we have such a great time talking to many people that work in the hospitality industry. And it is so much fun because we get to hear their perspective, opinions, stories, and then they share all kinds of lessons as well. And today I have a very special guest, a longtime industry friend of mine. We're talking about CMP DES, Amanda Wells. She is the Director of National Accounts for the Arlington CVB and a huge advocate for the industry for over 25 years now. She has served on so many industry committees, and we're going to talk to her about that. But what I love about Amanda is she is so driven to help others and their passions and strengths, to where she encourages everyone to think big and go for it. And that way you can follow your gut, take risk, even through uncertainty. And Amanda is here to share with us just how to do it. And believe it or not, she's got one word, that one magic word that makes it all happen. And we're going to find out all about it, along with hearing more about what Amanda's been up to right after this. Don't go away. Versator.com. Well, like I mentioned, my longtime friend is here with us, Amanda Wells. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Deborah. Thank you for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
I am too. It's been a long waited couple months here to get you on the show. And I'm just so glad that today is the day because I know there's some exciting things that you want to share with all our viewers in the hospitality industry. And I'm sure they have a lot of comments and questions that they want to ask you here live on HTL. And one of the things that I want to get us started with, before we get to know that secret one word that you want to share with us, I'm sure our viewers want to know your background because I mentioned earlier in the intro, you've been on so many industry organizational committees and things like that. Share a little bit about yourself.
Boys, I think it's really, when you hear, oh gosh, I've been doing this for 25 years, it's really scary to say. But, you and I met through MPI and my involvement in the DFW chapter of MPI. And, I've been a member since 2008, a past president. And then, of course, I got really involved in PCMA, where I have been in board leadership for the last probably 3 or 4 years. And I'm president-elect now and excited to see what the next few years hold for me there. But also just, in the local DFW area with DFWAE, I'm on that board. I've served on the American Marketing Association board. So I love to stay connected and involved and keep learning as I grow my career and grow myself. So.
Well, and I know, gosh, you're right. 25 years is a long time. I'm there with you, sister. But it's been a wonderful ride. And yet, as busy as you are, and all the committees that you serve, and several, presidential board positions as well, you're a busy woman at home too. I mean, you're a mom that takes care of, your kids through so much, and balancing that has got to be really hard for women in the hospitality industry. And I know watching your Facebook page, I've seen a couple of your kids. Like, for example, I want to show little Emily here.
First day of 4th grade.
Yeah, she's in 4th grade. And then we've got Garrett here as well. And I believe that you have another one as well.
I do. I have 2 more, actually. I have a 23-year-old stepson in Detroit area, and I have a 19-year-old stepdaughter who is starting her sophomore year at the University of Southern California. So
Wow.
we're
So
very
you are busy. What's your secret? I mean, to balance work and mom of 4 kids, my
lots
goodness.
and lots of coffee.
Exactly. I would imagine that. Well, I know that, it's been tough for everybody this past year and probably another year or so. But sitting back during this whole pandemic thing, how has it changed your life or even your career? What are some of the lessons that you learned during this time?
It's changed a lot. I mean, and as I've talked to other colleagues in the industry, I think I'm not alone. And it has really allowed me to take the time to be a mom and be involved and, put my phone down and be present at dinner. And my son he's playing basketball and go out and shoot some hoops with them in the afternoons and really say, it's okay for me to take these 10 minutes and be present in this world.
Right.
I have not been shy about saying, I've never been in this world in this industry that we live in and that I've grown up in. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And
Right.
I've never been home for my daughter to come, for my kids to come home from school. What a cool thing that is, just to watch them walk up the sidewalk and drop her backpack and come in and slam the door and tell me about her day. And, I'm not a milk and cookies kind of girl in the afternoon, but, I do love that, like 5 minutes of embracing and kind of move on. But, that is one thing that I think that I've learned from this pandemic and kind of coming through is it is okay to just pause. Because everything's going to be there in 10 minutes. It's going to be there tomorrow. It's going to be there in 2 hours. And everybody is giving grace right now. So you give grace as well, but accept it when it's given to you and ask for it when you need it. And those are some lessons that I've kind of taken away from this pandemic.
Oh yeah. Oh, I would imagine it's a different world when you get a chance to be at home and you start discovering things that it's like, oh, I never knew that was there, or I didn't know I can, walk down the street with my child, or, there's so many things that we've I don't know if missed out on or just didn't notice, but the pandemic, I think, really helped us, as my motto is slow down to speed up. But I also know you have a motto which is onward and upward. Now, what does that mean and how do you apply that to hospitality?
Well, it's something that's been around my entire life. And it wasn't really a motto of mine really until this past year where I grew up with this phrase, onward and upward. And I remember my grandmother who, she's 97, she's still with us. And, I can still remember those times where maybe I was going through a tough time, or, I vividly remember talking to her about my divorce, and, she finished that conversation with, well, onward and upward. And that really kind of stuck with me. And, when we are, but I don't think it really was as applicable in my life until this last 15 months where you have to keep moving forward and moving onward with our lives, but how do we move upward? And I've really kind of taken that to heart. And how do I take those steps forward, take those steps upward, whether that is marking some things off my to-do list, right? Taking some time to go, okay, I'm going to pause on this and I'm going to really focus on this thing that I've been really wanting to do. If there is, I've been in this industry for, 25 years, and I hate to say that number, but, and I know how fast it is, the response times on RFPs and, what is asked for us every day with prospecting calls. And there's always this to-do list going on in the background. I wish that I could spend some time on this. I wish that I could spend some time on this. And I think that, taking this onward and upward approach to life and using that as my, motto every day has allowed me to go, what, I'm going to get this done by the end of the week. And I'm going to mark that off my list that's been sitting here on my to-do list in the bottom corner for a while. And it is, we cannot be, it's going to be very detrimental if we are the same people, if we're the same place, if we're in the same place coming out of this as we were going into it. And so really, as we move forward, take that time for despair and questioning and sadness. If you've been furloughed, if just, we all don't know what's happening, especially with this, this Delta variant and this, I don't want to say round 2 coming, because I've seen that floating around. I'm like, nope, we're not doing round 2.
Right.
We're still on pause.
Right.
And
Right.
I think that, taking this time to really move upward and marking some of those, whether it's a CMP certification, whether it is a certification in whatever, whether it's learning a new system, learning a new skill, reading a book, if you're better on coming out of this when we started, we're all going to be better for it as an industry. And those are my words, is onward and upward. And I think that really kind of, it's gotten me through the last 15 months, and hopefully it will continue to get me through the next phase of this.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I love that, because this is where we're at. We're this delicate moment now where, we've been dealing with this craziness, experiencing what's been going on. Now it's time for us to cross that road and do exactly, what your motto is onward and upward. And we have, this is where we're at. So I really, really like that. As a matter of fact, we've got somebody that wants to ask you a question, and it looks like it is Lisa. She says, do you write down your activities to manage time, or do you use, some kind of app or software?
I am absolutely a pen and paper person. I have legal pads and spiral notebooks everywhere.
Right.
And I'm definitely a list maker every day. I end my day with making a list of what I need to do the next day. But, all these little goals that I have as we get to farther in the conversation, I have them written down, and they are where I see them all the time on a whiteboard in my office, at home. And it's ever before me of what my next step is. And I think that's really, really important to know where you're going.
Yeah, that's a good point and a good question, because some people are, want to utilize technology to do all that. But I'm like you. I like to just write it down and visually see it and take the strokes of my pen to embed it in my mind. That's the only way I can do it. If I put it on an app or some kind of software, I'm going to probably forget it.
Right. Absolutely.
In a sense. But let's get to why we have you really on the show. And that is that you want to share with us one word. I call it the secret word, that really, made a difference to you, and that you believe in, that if followed, it definitely will help people move forward, take risks, even during uncertain times like this. So can you share with us what that is and the meaning behind it?
Yeah, it's this magical word, and I use it a lot. So anybody that's listening that has spent any time with me knows I use the word elevate a lot. It's just elevate. And whether that is, yourself, the people around you, your situation, that your office culture, if it's your family, if you're elevating kind of on that whole onward and upward kind of mentality, there's no limit to what you can do. And, that word elevate, really, this is not a special to Amanda. I love Ryan Serhant. If you are a $1 Million Listing fan, you know who that is. I bought his book, and, I think I pre-ordered his book. And he talks about elevating, and it's elevating the sales process. And it didn't dawn on me what power there was in this one word until before I was at the Arlington, Texas CVB, I was with a resort, North Dallas and Frisco. Hi, Frisco people. And hospitality was absolutely embedded in the culture and every single employee's just behavior. It was, we were empowered to make every single guest's stay the best it could possibly be. And when I came, I spent some time with a global marketing agency, and my time with them really shifted from the dates, rate, space inquiry sheet that we all know and love in hotels to goals and objectives. And which seems so simple because, in our world, everything revolves around the goals and objectives of meetings and events, and that's domain A in the CMP.
Sure.
And so taking this experiential, very goals and objectives way of looking at meetings and events, and taking it and putting it into practice in everyday life at the Westin Stonebriar, it really elevated everything that we did, and not just for the guest experience, but also for the sales team's experience. And they felt absolutely empowered. It really resonated with the entire team because we needed housekeeping involved, and we needed, engineering involved in these very experiential site visits that we do, or proposals that we do. And so we would take these site visits that can be fairly mundane, right? I mean, we all want to do 7 site visits a week now.
Right.
But, it can be very, very repetitive. And so when you put something like very small to elevate, and for example, off the top of my head we were bidding on a Mercedes-Benz program that was a long-term program, and we were up against a competitor on the street, and we made a phone call. And to a friend, I saw on Facebook that a friend of mine just bought the brand new Mercedes convertible. And I called her and said, "Hey, are you busy tomorrow?" It was after hours for all the Mercedes dealerships in the area. I said, "Are you busy tomorrow? Can I borrow your car for like 4 hours?" And she's like, "Absolutely, but I'm going to DFW." And I said, "If I will let you park here, I will drive you to DFW if you let me borrow your car for this site visit." She's like, "Sure." So we drove this car up, and that was something it was one special touch that took 5 minutes and a trip to DFW Airport.
Wow.
That really elevated that site visit. A Lincoln, the same kind of story. Lincoln Automobiles were having a meeting at the hotel. We called the local Lincoln dealership and said, "Can we park your new Continental, at our terrace?" Our terrace overlooked a golf course. It was a very, and their opening reception was out there. But their brand new Continental that had just been launched, out there waiting. And it was such an awe moment for them when they walked in to see that. And I think actually the owner of the hotel bought the car. Actually added a little benefit to that. But
that's funny.
It took 5 minutes to make a phone call to the local Lincoln dealership to make that much of an impact. So we elevated that arrival experience. We elevated the site. Right. And when you take that into your everyday life, whether it is just a proposal, whether it is can you just elevate a conversation with the client and make that one more connection? Is it one more question that you can ask to make that, that experience for the client that much better? That's what really I strive to do, is just elevate something every day in work and in home. And in home, it could be, is it something in my health? Is it one more bottle of water? One less glass of wine? Is it, one less trip to Starbucks that week? Or is it, do I take one more hour and spend, playing basketball with Garrett in the driveway? And those are all why it seems very simple. If we're not inherently thinking about doing these small tasks or these small things to elevate our lives, we're not moving forward, right? We're not moving upward.
Right.
And, but I also look at it as I take every single opportunity that I have to read. I am constantly reading. If there's not a book on my face, I'm listening to a book or a podcast or something. And it is, that elevates me, right? It pushes me to be better. And,
sure.
And I have to celebrate those too, right? So there's another speaker I heard earlier this year that talks about micro wins. And in your quest to elevate and these goals that, I have written on my whiteboard, there may be there may be smaller steps that I need to take to this goal. That doesn't mean that I'm not accomplishing that, but I need to celebrate these micro wins along the way.
Right.
And,
right.
Like I said, one bottle of water, that's a huge, more than what I'm usually drinking. It's a huge one for me. And
right.
I'm going to celebrate that. And I'm going to go
well,
for
and you believing in that word and living by it makes a lot of sense. But for people that, it could seem overwhelming to them, to some. So to gravitate that mindset to elevate and to believe it like you do, where does one person start? Do they just, is it just, looking at their goal and write it down to take those steps? Or what would you suggest?
I really think it is, you said in the beginning of it, like, think big. And I think that, if that's in you, absolutely think big and go for it, but make those little steps along the way. Can you add something special to this? Do you know something about this client that would make the difference in landing this piece of business? And can you put that into that proposal? I'm going way old school, right? And, remember when we would hand deliver proposals and hand deliver contracts? And I know it's COVID and all of that, but what a difference that made. And can you do something creative with the delivery of that with your email? And it doesn't have to cost a lot. It doesn't have to take, a massive amount of time. It is really just that one step farther to make that connection with your client, with your family, with yourself, and your goals. Is it just getting out of that form letter proposal that you've sent for the last 2 years? Because that's just the easiest thing, and that's what's computer generated. Is it doing something that would make an impact, and taking a step back? And I think that, and I know I think we should talk about this more, and I'll go ahead and say it. This requirements of response time in our industry that we've put in kind of randomly, and I know one brand has a 2-hour response time for an RFP, and one brand I know that has a 4-hour response time. You can't make a connection and make a really thoughtful proposal in 2 hours from receiving an email. And so take time. We're in this era of grace, and ask for grace, and tell your boss, tell your national salesperson, tell your CBB rep, hey, you know what? I want to put some real thought into this, and I really want to win this piece of business. I want to try to find a way to elevate. Can you brainstorm with me? Can we talk through this? Do you know anything about this client that might make an impact for me to win this business? And having those conversations, which are all safe conversations to have, is so much but time spent, quality time spent, versus just, hammering out responses that may not have that same impact. And I think that those little steps will greatly elevate the way that you feel about yourself and your confidence and your sales numbers and your workplace, and just overall as an industry. I think we'll all get better if we all take those little steps.
Yeah, I think those are great suggestions, because I think that's where everybody is. And I loved what you said. We are in a time of grace. And if you just stop and think about that, it's like, hey, yeah, right. I can sit here and do what I need to do that I've always wanted to do, and take my time at it, because it's going to be a while till everything turns around, but we are turning around. Things are recovering. It's just, this is a time before we get really busy. And I'm all about, meeting revenge. Once the gates open, it's going to flood with all kinds of meetings and events. So now's the time. And I love what you said regarding that. And maybe that's taking time, like you're doing. You're reading a lot of books. As a matter of fact, we have somebody that from Visibly Media saying, what books would you recommend to read? Oh, okay.
Well, along this line of elevate, and what drives us home in different wording is, I love Simon Sinek. Anything Simon Sinek has written, I have I've read, I think, multiple times.
Why?
So start with why. Right. Start with why. Find your why and find your purpose. And,
Yeah.
His last book or his most recent book is called The Infinite Game. And it really talks about, you may be great now and where we are right now, but someone's coming up behind you.
Oh, yeah.
And are you elevating and are you moving forward and are you ready for that? There's no finish line in the game of business. There's no finish line in the game of hospitality, right? And are you positioned to be better and constantly being better so you can take on that competition and be ready for them to come up behind?
Right.
Depending on what your personal goals are, I love Ryan Serhant's Sell It Like Serhant. I love Roy Spence. I saw him at a conference, and I walked out of the room crying and pressing pre-order on Amazon. He wrote a book about it's not what you sell, it's what you stand for, and it really that was a transformation of myself a couple of years ago of what is my why? What is my purpose in this? And what am I working towards, and setting those goals for myself as well, and really understanding where that comes from. I'm looking behind me. Dale Partridge, I saw him speak at a PCMA event. He wrote People Over Profit. That's a really great book as well. So just find whatever drives you.
Sure.
It's not really books. It's also, if you find someone that really speaks to your heart and really speaks to your soul, I will listen to or read anything that Bozome St. John puts out in the universe. She, if you don't know her, I didn't know her either until I went to a conference a couple years ago. She's the CMO of Netflix, but she's had this amazing career as a woman, an African-American woman. And she talks about all of that. And she really taught me over the last I've taken 2 of her workshops over the last 15 months. She really talks about being your authentic self. It is okay to be crazy Amanda and just spewing my big ideas. And it's okay. And if you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine too, but somebody does.
Right.
And I love her. So look for those things that speak to your soul. And I'm also message me, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I can definitely brainstorm on some other books.
Well, so you work in the industry that's 24/7. You're a mom of 4, and you read. You're putting me to shame here, because I don't know how you have time for all of that, but I guess some are more talented than others. But that is great. I love those. I'm definitely going to watch this recording so I can write all those books down, because I think you and I have the same taste. So those were great recommendations, definitely. And so as we end the show, I've got one more question for you, because again, being in the industry for 25 years and still going strong, you must have started when you were 2. What do you think, if you had a magic wand over our whole meeting and event industry, what would you wish for to happen? Is there, especially moving forward, onward and upward, in other words?
Well, if we can just make this whole, next Delta variant, whatever variant's coming behind this, just to kind of go away, and we're all going to be okay again.
Yeah.
That would be my first wish. I think also just, I really wish that my colleagues and industry friends and everybody listening, I wish that you would learn what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what you bring to the table, and really own that. And I wish I would have learned that 10 years ago. I think that I would have been in a different place now. But that has really helped me over the last 15 months as I've done a deep dive into what makes Amanda tick and what are my strengths, and how does that play into this whole elevation, and how do I work with a team with these very, I'm kind of in your face strengths, right? And I really wish that people would take the grace that's given to them, give grace when you can, take the grace that's given to them, accept it, and really own who they are, but also elevate those challenges and those weaknesses that they may have as well. And it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. The world is going to keep turning. And that's one thing we've learned through all of this is.
Right. Yeah. Good suggestions, good advice. Love what you are sharing with us today. And I'm just so glad that we were able to connect. I just want to see you face to face because,
Me too.
as my husband says, I'm such a kissy huggy industry. And
I know,
it's
I hate
so
that we didn't do
true.
our open mouth
So
selfie last, when I saw where we missed each other in Phoenix.
yeah, I know. And, but our time will come after this time of grace, as you mentioned. But I want everyone to have the opportunity to connect with you or contact you directly. And I see your email address there. You mentioned LinkedIn. Any other ways that people can connect with you to talk
Facebook,
to you about all this?
my message me anywhere. I can give you my cell. That's pretty much all over the internet as well.
Yeah.
Arlington.com. You can find me there as well. So
Right.
I'm pretty accessible. So I would
Yeah.
love to connect with anybody.
Yeah, well, you represent a great city there, and I know some good things are going to be happening for you. Onward and upward. There's no doubt about that with you. And of course, we've got one more comment from our good buddy Ray, who says that great takeaways, balance and elevate, onward and upward. Thank you. So thanks, Ray, for watching. It's a great message that Amanda just shared, along with so much more as well. So from the bottom of our heart here at Hospitality Today Live, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited for you and your family, and so many good things to happen in the coming years for you as well. Another 25 years.
Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye for now.
Bye.
Well, there you go. Was that a great episode or what? I mean, Amanda is such an amazing, brilliant, and beautiful woman that I've known for many, many years. And I'm so glad that you were able to, stick by with us and watch what she had to share, especially with all that she mentioned here on the show. And I love the fact that it's all about right now, onward and upward. But in the meantime, it's a time of grace. Take advantage of that, like she mentioned as well. And of course, we want to make sure that since you enjoyed this episode, and I'm sure you did, you can share this replay with anyone that you'd like. All you have to do is go to all our social media platforms, and they'll be right there. So, share it among your office coworkers, your family, friends. I know we would appreciate it here at Hospitality Today Live. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, or want to be a sponsor or have comments, please contact us at hello@Hospitality Today Live. Any questions as well. So you're probably wondering, what's up next? Well, we have the director of Arrive Conference Solutions, Alan Kleinfeld, with us. He is a seasoned meeting expert, but it wasn't until his time as a public safety officer that gave him the unique view in the conference space for safety and security. And he is going to be here to expand on this topic and discuss, more about safety and security and how we're not really done with COVID-19 yet. And he's got his reasons behind that as well, along with knowing what the future lies for safety and security in this meeting and event space, along with the rest of the hospitality world. So I hope that you'll join us next week as well. In the meantime, I'm Deborah Gardner, your host here at HTL. And remember, if you're thinking about it, we're talking about it right here on HTL. So until next week, have a great week, everybody.